Thank you so much for staying with us. It's time to discuss our hot English Premier League title race. Defending champions Manchester City outgunned Arsenal 4-1 early on Wednesday at the Etihad Stadium to significantly increase their chance of a third straight title. Kevin De Bruyne scored twice on 2 Erling Haaland assists, while John Stones was also on target for City. The result sees Pep Guardiola's team trail Arsenal by only 2 points with 2 games in hand. This is how the table looks. So we have Arsenal at the top of the table sitting very pretty on 75 points. Manchester City second on 73. Newcastle United in third on 59, and also Manchester United in fourth position, same number of points as Newcastle United. In fifth spot, Aston Villa with 54. Then Liverpool and Tottenham, they both have 53 points. In 10th spot, Fulham on 45 points. All right, well, one of our international football correspondents, Simon Evans, was following the match and he joins us this afternoon. Simon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, it's a good day to talk to you. We haven't spoken to you in so long. What did you make of that Manchester City performance earlier today? And where was Arsenal?
Yeah, I thought City were magnificent today. I mean, that really was the modern 2023 version of Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, playing at their absolute best. Smart tactics from Guardiola. He pushed Kevin De Bruyne up as a sort of support striker, really, for Erling Haaland, and they played as a pair. Haaland actually set up 2 goals for De Bruyne. Haaland, of course, has 49 goals this season, which is an incredible amount, but showed his value as a provider today. So City were absolutely devastating going forward. They could have really had the game totally sewn up in the first half. Ramsdale made some good saves for Arsenal, but Arsenal attacking-wise didn't really pose much of a threat at all, and City looked like the champions.
Right, a complete effort, we'd say, from Manchester City, but Arsenal, of course, a one-sided affair. Simon, what has happened to Arsenal from the Arsenal that we saw at the top of the season? We saw a very motivated Arsenal team, you know, a high-flying team. What happened today? And in the last few games, if I'm to stretch it so far?
Yeah, no, I think they have been hit by those negative results they had. I think that dented their confidence. I think they were on a roll, on a high for so long this season because they were overachieving. Yeah, let's be honest. This Arsenal team, as to me, has never looked like champions. They've had an excellent season. They've made a huge amount of progress. They deserve a lot of credit. They're going to be back in the Champions League for the first time, I think, in these 6 years. So they've had a great season, and they could still win the league. Yeah, it's not over. There's 7 games to go, but I think their confidence took a knock from those recent games, and they didn't go into this match looking like a team in the opening exchanges that were going to go toe-to-toe with Manchester City.
Exactly, and the thing is, you're right, the title is not... the title race is not over just yet. Mikel Arteta, though, from the onset, you know, you saw that Arsenal was playing with a lack of energy and whatnot. Do you feel as if he could have done anything differently, you know, make a couple of changes? Because even at halftime, they came back on with the same team. What did you make of, you know, his tactical approach today?
Yeah, I don't think they made the changes that might have altered the rhythm of the game or the pattern of the game. But, I'm not sure they had those options available to them, really. I mean, they've got players on the bench, but nothing like City's bench. And really, over a long season, I think this is such an important factor. City have basically 2 teams that can go out there. They have 2 players for every position. Arsenal miss 1 or 2 players, and they end up losing a game earlier in the season. And they don't have that range of options, that strength in depth. So I think that's something they're going to have to address in the summer, especially when they have the double duty of Premier League and Champions League next year. They need a deeper squad. They need more options.
Yeah, well, let's take a look now at the remaining fixtures for the Gunners and Manchester City, respectively. Let's see what tasks they have ahead of them. So, Arsenal, they have to face Chelsea at home. They also have to play Newcastle. That's a very high-firing Newcastle team. Of course, they have Brighton at home, Nottingham Forest away, and Wolves at home. Now, Manchester City, as we told you, they have 2 more games in hand. So they have Fulham away, West Ham at home, Leeds at home, Everton. They also have to play Chelsea at home, Brighton away and Brentford away. So Simon, with the task ahead of both teams, who has the easier, and I'm using easier in quotation marks, of course, because we know how football goes, but based on what we've seen this season, form, results, and all the other stats that we can draw on, which of the team has the easier path?
Well, I think if you're looking strictly at that period of games that's coming up and asking that question, I think you've got to throw into the mix the fact that Manchester City also have the Champions League to play
Yes.
in that as well. And they have a chance of winning the treble. They've got a lot of commitments. So in that sense, it is tougher than Arsenal that have less games and no distractions outside in Europe. So in that sense, it's easier for Arsenal. But I could see City winning all those games. You know, I mean, if they play the way they did today, they will win all those games. And there'll be little lows and there'll be moments and so on. But you look at that, the toughest games that they both have are probably Chelsea. And at the moment, you'd expect both Arsenal and Manchester City to beat Chelsea.
Yeah, and of course, what would it take, Simon? Because, you know, we look at the fixtures, and the thing is, how football goes in any sport, you look at something on paper, but it has a lot to do, of course, with your confidence and whatnot. And Arsenal, with the high-firing Arsenal that we saw at the top of the season, right now their confidence has taken a massive blow, and it will take a lot from the Arsenal players and, of course, Mikel Arteta to get them back to, you know, top confidence again.
Yeah, and that's why I think ultimately Manchester City will win this title because, you know, whatever assessment we can make about those games on paper, City do look like a team that have got it in their hand now. And really those 6 points from 2 games that they've got to catch up will do it for them. I think they'll do it with a degree of comfort, actually, because they've got those options in depth, because they've got that confidence, because they've been there and done it before. This will be their 3rd straight time, but I think it's like 6 times in the last 8 years or something like that. They've been very dominant, haven't they? And for Arsenal, this is a new Arsenal team that doesn't have that experience at all and have stumbled down the stretch. So, you know, it all points to Manchester City winning this. And as you say, the confidence factor and the belief that they have should be a major assistance to them in getting over the line.
Yeah, you mentioned a young Arsenal team, and I feel like for some time this season, many people forgot about that youth factor. The fact that because of how well Arsenal was playing as a unit, you know, they forget the part that, you know, Arsenal is a young team, and of course, they're just getting their bearings together. Will you consider this a very unsuccessful season? And Arsenal still has games to go. They can still win the title. But if they don't walk away with the English Premier League title based on how they started this season, will it be considered an unsuccessful season for Arsenal and Mikel Arteta?
No, it shouldn't be. I'm sure there'll be some fans who, you know, the disappointment of seeing the trophy, you know, possibly within their grasp at a certain stage a month or so ago and seeing it slip away will lead to some people to have that kind of reaction. But I think if you look at the big picture, this is an Arsenal team who on this very show we were talking about not so long ago, a couple of years ago, that they were struggling at the wrong end of the Premier League and should Arteta be sacked, and there were all those debates going on. They've made huge strides in this season. They've played some great football. And they look like a team that's growing and developing. They need to add some extra quality in there. I think a little bit of experience, perhaps. You know, the youth is a good thing, but if you have a few people around who've won a few things, that can make a big difference.
Definitely. Well, Simon, as usual, we enjoy talking to you here on the SportsMax Zone. And of course, I hope we see more of you very soon.
Yes. Look forward to that.
All right, Simon Evans there. Thanks again. He is our international football correspondent. So, team, I asked a lot of questions to Simon there just now. Do you think Arsenal can go on and win it all based on what we've seen from them as of recent?
No. Manchester City looked like the champions today. They were brilliant. Simon is right. That partnership with Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland up front today really worked. And Arsenal could easily have been 3 or 4 down at half-time. They were quite fortunate to only be 2 behind at the half-time break. De Bruyne had a glorious opportunity one-on-one with Ramsdale that he didn't convert. Erling Haaland had a couple of opportunities as well that on a different day, he would have put those away. So Manchester City had the opportunities in that first half to finish off the game. And although they didn't, they came back in the second half and they were just magnificent. Edison had very little to do for 3/4 of the game. And in fact, when Rob Holding scored, it came as a massive surprise. So it was a thorough performance from Manchester City. And when you're a champion team, Lance and Mariah, that is exactly what you do. You turn up for those big matches and you demonstrate your quality. Arsenal, unable to do that today. Their big names, the likes of Martinelli, the likes of Saka, completely marked out of the game. You listen, the Arsenal fans are probably still looking for Martinelli. That's so far out of today's game. I didn't even remember he was on the park. I probably heard Saka's name once.
True.
It was a brilliant performance from Manchester City, and the way they controlled the middle as well with Gundogan, with De Bruyne. A lot of people have questioned why Jack Grealish came to Manchester City. I think today would have shown them, given them an example of why, because I think even Jack Grealish was really, really good in today's contest. It was just overall a brilliant City performance.
Some students of the game I hear mentioning that Pep Guardiola outcoached Arteta today. I think the bigger point, though, is that Pep has far more tools than Arteta has.
Yes.
Man City is just a better team. So even though Pep deployed his forces effectively and efficiently, to say that he outcoached Arteta, you could say that, but to be honest, City is like a well-oiled machine. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you could say that City is a well-oiled machine, right? But they're a well-oiled machine because of Pep Guardiola. And let's be honest, Arsenal have been panicking for quite a while now. It is no surprise to most individuals who have been watching the English Premier League of this 4-1 result, of the dominance that Manchester City showed in this match. Arsenal barely came away with a draw against Southampton. They had 2 matches where they led by 2-0 and surrendered that advantage. And just listening to Arteta coming into the match as well, I didn't have any great confidence that Arsenal would have been much of a challenge for City today, and so it proved.
Yeah, well, team, what's for sure is there a lot more matches to come, and we, as I said before, football can go anyway, so we look forward to see how that turns out and who walks away with this year's English Premier League title. Let's take a quick break and come right back. We have a lot more to talk. Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.